Hey guys, traded two names today. BuzzFeed and BNED. I actually wasn't really looking to trade BNED. I usually BNED. I usually avoid the NYSC names. But it was given some classic volatility patterns, thus proving that low flow patterns are nothing but volatility patterns, and you can have thicker float names like BNED, and they can make low flow time moves. BuzzFeed took a long at market open. There wasn't any great bottomed out long names in terms of, um, you know, walked down stocks at market open. MGOL, it was super walked down at market open and trading decent volume. The problem with that is the move was yesterday. The big gap up, the big run up was yesterday, and now you're getting quite extended on the daily. Also, the book was extremely not good for that type of long. Maybe I'll go over that at the end of the video, but I was looking for a short biased SYRA, whatever that ticker was, but I didn't get an entry that I wanted, and I just missed the whole trade. There's nothing I can do about it. But let's go over BuzzFeed. I always say that the best longs are early in the move, right? So this was like the 1 minute 50. So we had like a 1 minute 50 pullback here. We had a 1 minute 50 pullback here. And I always say like these quick dump moves to the MAs can be really strong, right? Quick dump, soak, push, right? And same with this. The problem is we're already getting, multiple moves up. So the longs that tend to happen at the top of a move after multiple pushes tend to be on very manipulated entries. And I usually don't take them because the entries can be difficult to read. And this is kind of this one into this play where a lot of times, even if the long works, there's a lack of continuation, and often it's much better to be short biased. Um, but I decided to take this long, even though it's kind of a meme stock. What that one guy, what's his name, has a 7% share in the stock. His stocks are very famous for dumping, so I wouldn't necessarily call that bullish, but I did like the pattern, right? It's a 930 HoD Clearout, and it pulled back into some clear bids at 380s and 390s, and it was soaking on the 390s, which is where I went long, and I was risking a crack of the 380s because not only were there no bids below that, but um, that's also where VWAP was. So I thought if VWAP got cracked, we could see at market open, you could get fairly aggressive cracks when VWAP is acting as support, then it breaks, right? So I did go long. Of course, you're selling into the liquidity move. The volume was nice. Just like I said, like this is longing it at the top is always a risk. I thought, especially in knife tier, I thought maybe in knife it would soak and rotate back up and do some crazy meme stock stuff. It was not meant to be, and I got out my long. Now it started to do something we haven't seen in a little bit. Um, First of all, I miss the soak into seller short. There's multiple people in my Discord room that hit the soak in the seller, which is you get a big wick, it comes back up. Um, Looks like it's going to do some type of reclaim, and then it goes back down, right? So, and this was clean on the book. I just hesitated and missed it. We'll go over this. Had a very clean book, but I did think that was bearish. But then we got the consistent increasing selling, which I think I did a video back in October at MTC. Um, a lot of times when you get, especially with things like insider dumping, which could be happening here, I would not be surprised. Um, but it's quite rare to see a stock making consistent lows where the volume is actually either consistent or increasing, right? You get increasing selling or very consistent selling as a stock is making new lows, new lows. It's not just one red candle. It's like, you know, you're talking, it could be 10, 15, 20 minutes of straight red candles with consistent selling. Often an indication that somebody is just absolutely dumping the stock. So this, I shorted into a bunch of 350 bids getting taken out. But this isn't, you can't, you know, it's you're potentially chasing on some type of mean reversion bounce, so you can't really do a lot of size. And you got to be pretty aggressive with your covers, right? So, you know, kind of a smaller size, wider, you know, I was pretty much risking the 1 minute 200 getting reclaimed. 1 minute 200 was right here. But, but yeah, I was like, wow, look at the increase. I was like, I haven't seen that in months, like many, many months of just consistent increasing selling on these pullbacks. I thought the big soak in the seller was super bearish, but it really wasn't a big trade. It was more like just like a smaller trade. So yeah, we'll go to I think the book is much more interesting on this. An interesting thing we saw today, by the way, we saw this on 3 different stocks today. It is very common for extended tickers to have this walk down structure in the open. So it's a lower high walk down structure. And then, especially if the volume is big, it squeezes the structure, right? Now, this move was crazy fast. It's high to clear out, which is actually potentially bullish because it was so quick that most of the trading really didn't happen up at these levels. But nice bid soaking, decent volume, 1.5 million. So this is just your high day clearout short trap, right? And given the market open volume, in the market open time frame, we know that these moves, you know, could be very quick, very aggressive, right? You're talking sometimes it's 1 or 2 minutes of soaking, sometimes it's like 4 or 5 minutes, but it's usually not more than that. It usually has an instant reaction when you're trading near market open. Shouldn't be waiting, you know, 10, 20 minutes. But yeah, what other tickers? We had this. God, what was this? Sorry, man, I gotta look up. Oh, SYTA. Similar thing. Walk down in the open. And I was looking for the short on this, by the way. You know, I was saying in my room, I was like, hey, this is getting walked down in the open, but I think it's worth it to be bearish bias on this name because it's already quite extended up the 1 minute 9 EMA. It's also opening in the relative top of its range near market open. So I was looking, you know, I was looking at the walk down. I'm like, oh, maybe there'll be some type of push. It was trading really nice volume, like very consistent high volume. But then they pulled it. It had this painted 420 level. Also had a huge ask at 420. I was hoping that you see me. I talked about this in my YouTube videos before. It's like choppy under VWAP action, very common after market open. Usually in this like 9:30 to 10 o'clock time frame, you'll see this choppy controlled VWAP action. And also we got VWAP resistance, VWAP resistance. A lot of times when they paint VWAP resistance, they'll squeeze the VWAP resistance. So I was hoping that given how aggressive this selling was, that it would rotate back up here and go down. And it was starting to rotate. I was like, okay, it's going to break 420. I'll try to make a read, maybe go short. It never broke it, and then it just rolled over and died, so it just missed the trade. But yeah, there's a penny name. There's also a penny name that did. Oh, this. Also got walked down in the open. Walked down in the market open. Again, but look at this. Stock is crazy extended. Up higher lows, up only. Often a huge lack of support. And then you got to walk down in the open. It squeezes market open. Given the walk down structure, then it fades, right? So I don't really trade pennies. Short side, obviously. I'm on trade zero. So BuzzFeed. But yeah, I thought the selling was so interesting, right? Here's your soak. It bounced all the way up to the low fours, right where the 1 minute 9, 1 minute 20 are. And then really nice ask on the book. We can go look at the book on this super fast. So I'll share the market open bids. BuzzFeed was here. Right. So here's the high day clear out, doing a bunch of choppy stuff, and then the bids start to come in, right? So the bids at 3.9 and 3.8. That's ultimately what I was risking. Get your hyper aggressive move. It held to 3.8. Was really happy about that. Market, you got that market open volatility, big initiation. But yeah, I mean, when you're longing at the top of the range, especially with a lack of bid follow up, it's always the major concern, right? The major concern is stuff like this can happen, right? And then I was hoping it would soak and catch these bids and rotate. I was like, oh, maybe it'll rotate, do some crazy, and then it just went down. But yeah, here's that soak in the seller. So this is at 953. Big dump, bounce, and they put two new ask right here. Then they put another ask right here, right? Minimal bid follow up, soak in the seller, new ask showing up. And then, yeah, here's me shorting these bids. Yeah, so that was a BuzzFeed, and sorry, I got a small cough. And then we have BNED. Let's see if I can open that up. I missed. By the way, BNED also had a soak into seller move that I missed. That was actually huge brain, which was up here. So this was like the only market open long that was I mean, it was trading 4 million shares a minute, and they stacked up bajillion bids on this thing. I was not looking at this to long. I thought it was pretty extended. Um, and I thought it wasn't a great candidate for it, but obviously it made this crazy move. Um, I'm not a big fan. I always tell my room, don't chase down halts. So we get a high day clear out into a down halt, right? On high volume stocks, sometimes like yesterday, we saw some down halts lead to big fades, but on the flip side, down halts on high volume stocks can be massive short traps. So, not looking to chase, not looking to short or lower high, just looking to see what the reaction was, and it starts to aggressively squeeze high day, right? And then, getting back to my old pattern replication video, this was a huge miss. This was an even bigger miss than the BuzzFeed trade, because they did another down halt possible short trap. And not only that, not only did it stall right at high day, but they did the soak in the seller move. And it was actually like really, really, really nice. And I just didn't make the trade. I did short backside. The backside here was really interesting. So it kind of squeezed. There was like VWAP right here. It did a little VWAP squeeze, but a lot of times I don't hit these because I was kind of afraid of it being too far away from high day. And sometimes I hit them and sometimes I don't. There's nothing in the book that really made me it was kind of ambiguous. Like there wasn't really any ask and there wasn't really any bids. So I kind of avoided it. But what they did was really interesting is they started stacking tons and tons and tons of bids to shove the stock up. And a lot of times on backside clearouts, what you see is not only bid stacks, but once it starts to get to the clear out level they're kind of pushing it to, they'll start to pull the bids. A lot of the bids will start to get pulled, and it could be a good sign, especially if asks are getting filled. If asks are getting filled, which they were, it could be a good sign. Now I was like, oh, maybe they'll attack 120 and push it a little higher, but I was like, I'll throw some on. It's only a $1 stock. And luckily it broke the 1 minute 50, and then it broke a lot of these higher lows. And then I got out. I had an order sitting on a reclaim. So this was interesting. This was an interesting play. So we'll look at we'll look at this, right? So here's your down halt short trap. Then here's that candle, right? Down halt, pattern replication, same move, right? Big support swipe. Came up right back up the high day to where this seller was, and it just rolled over, and that's top, right? And it's the same signal as BuzzFeed, but even better than BuzzFeed because it's happening literally at high day after a potential long trap push. There was actually a lot of stuff nice about this. I just kind of messed it up. Um, but yeah, here's some painted lower highs. And also, what I liked about this trade was I liked the higher lows. You love to see higher lows into a backside clear out. Um, so we'll go over the book. I mean, this was really interesting. So um, here's that soak in the cellar. So here's that long trap push, soak in the cellar, and then new ass start to show up. This was actually super nice. I just messed it up. And then missed a trade. You know, it starts to go into midday soak. Again, midday soak. These patterns could take hours before, you know, it often has to take hours to paint the lower highs on the backside. You know, when it's in midday price action, I'm just looking at where the lower highs and the higher lows are. I'm like, how is support getting painted? And how is resistance getting painted, right? What levels can it go for? How long has it been soaking for? Things like that. So, yeah, here's that VWAP push. I actually wouldn't really blame anyone for taking this. We'll look at what happened here. So this is that initial VWAP squeeze. Not a lot of bids following up, so sorry. Go drink some water. So, not the worst book in terms of a VWAP swipe. I just thought it was kind of low. And then this, you know, a lot of times this can help you with risk management. This is where the book can help you with risk management, where there should be a weak reaction to this, right? But if your thesis is, you know, VWAP swipe and fade, they start stacking these like 80, 90, 100K bids that aren't even getting tested. So I was like, oh man, look at those bid stacks, right? And then they followed it up with more bid stacks. I'm like, oh man, it's like they might squeeze this like 110 level. And then when they did squeeze the 110 level, you know, I posted this in my room. I was like, look at them pull the bids. Look at them pull the bids here, pull the bid. So you got your big squeeze. Hey, they put a new ask right here. Cover that in Discord, in the YouTube videos, right? Filling a new ask. You know, this was a 90,000 share ask that they filled. And they pulled it. Once that ask got filled, they pulled the bid, and they started pulling the lower bids. And, you know, got a lot of, you know, I was like, there was a 120 level that I could have went for, so I was waiting to see if there's some type of reaction there, but it ended up just cracking, and yeah, then it just came back up. It's still chopping around, but it was okay. It wasn't bad. I was, you know, obviously it would have been ideal if it faded into the close, but somebody in the after hours has 300,000 shares on the bid at 80 cents. That's pretty interesting. So anyway, yeah, smaller day, nothing super ideal in terms of the longs. The only thing that I think was kind of okay was BRSH and Pennyland. You know, you get the 4 million volume with the 1 minute 50 pullback. These quick, fat dumps. A lot of times to the 1 minute 20 or the 1 minute 50. And you got a double test. You got a double test. It was actually kind of nice. You know, that's how these rotations happen. A bunch of volume comes in. You get a big blow off move on crazy high volume, and they just jump it to the MAs and they soak on it and they push it. But besides that, there wasn't really any A plus names, right? Yeah, this was Walkdown in the open, but again, first move's the best move, and the first move was was when it went from 20 cents to 280. So, trying to apply things that already made massive pushes is usually not the play when going long. So, anyways, that's it for today. Slower day, but we'll see if anything is, you know, we'll see if anything's cooking tomorrow, you know. Maybe it was just a weaker day today, you know, kind of had, you know, Thursday, Friday last week, and then Monday, Tuesday this week of a lot of strength, a lot of pushes. You know, you're going to get weaker days. So I still think liquidity is nice, but you still need the right chart, the right daily, the right volume, the right bid structure. if going long. And, it's still worth it. It's always worth it to, after a stock has made an aggressive, especially in these pre-market stocks that make aggressive up-only moves, um, to look for the short. Or if you get a nice pre-market long trap, you can short that, or if you get, wait for market open and see if you get an entry there. So that's it for today. You guys have a good one. See you tomorrow.